Welcome back to Chess on Me channel. Today I'll be showing you a beautiful game played in the French defense, and this game recently happened in one international tournament, and the point in this game is that the white player surprises black player in French defense very early in the opening. So what is the surprise? The real goal in chess game is everyone tells a story about the game. The secret of a good chess player is that you must surprise your opponent. Chess is not about remembering openings or copying somebody's games, etc. Okay, a great player does not always follow the usual path, and he tries to create his own positions in the board. So when you surprise your opponent, you take him out of his comfort zone. Though the opening that he is prepared is same, still a novelty or a surprise move or some deviation in the opening will really put your opponent in some sort of a tense situation, because you have prepared very well in the game, and whereas he has to face from his memory. Sometimes his memory alone is not sufficient. He has to find his own moves and play the game. In fact, world champion Alexander Alekhine, a former world champion who is no more, he told that he used to win his games because he used to make his opponents think. So that was his easiest way to make victories in the tournament. So this game, which has been played recently, here white is Jeffrey Xiong and black is Duda. So it's a beautiful game. Let us watch the game. Thank you. Hi. Now let us see this game. This game is played on 14th October 2025 between Grandmaster Jeffrey Xiong versus Grandmaster Duda. So very strong players, both are like super Grandmasters. And though this is a blitz game, this happened in the Title Tuesday tournament. You're all aware this is a very famous tournament happening in the internet. Hikaru Nakamura keeps on winning this kind of tournaments, played by even Carlsen also in some occasions. Now, in this game, white introduces a surprise move starting at the 6th move itself. So let us see the game. White plays e4. Now this converts to French defense, and after knight d2, this is Tarrasch variation of the French defense. Black plays c5. So here after c5, there are many variations. You can straight away take knight takes, pawn takes pawn also, but here white plays knight gf3, and black takes on c takes d4, and white plays pawn takes pawn, and he takes queen takes pawn. Now this is a famous idea. Otherwise also you can play e takes d5. This will lead to positions of isolated pawn. So players who play c5 preferably they prefer this variation nowadays. So e takes d5, queen takes d5, and now white gets tempo on the queen, queen c4, queen d6. Usually this queen d6 maneuver, white really does not win a tempo, because at some point of time the queen can go back to c7 and attack the bishop on c4, and he gets the compensation back. So white plays now a surprise move as early on the 6th move itself. So he plays 7th move, knight e4. So what is this knight e4? This is allowing a check also, tempting check on queen b4. This is attacking the queen on e4. Now, the other is, if not knight e4, the usual move order is just to play castles, knight f6, then knight b3, then knight c6, white takes on d4, he takes on d4, knight takes d4, a6 and a6, and then the position is somewhat complicated, and there are beautiful games in this variation coming with bishop b3, queen c7, and rook e1, bishop d6 and knight f5, giving the pawn on h2, and after bishop h2 check king h1, and after castles white has a beautiful knight takes g7, king takes g7 and queen d4. So this leads to this known variation played long back, but it's a popular variation in French defense with lots of ideas. So white avoids all these variations and simply goes for knight e4. This is a surprise. After knight e4, the queen on d6 is attacked by white. So this is, now if you play queen c7, of course you have bishop check and all, and our queen takes d4 is coming. So white after knight e4, he plays queen to b4 check. So winning a tempo on the check. Now going back knight e d2 is not good because you just moved the piece. So it's not good. But white comes with a different idea in this position. He plays knight f d2, protecting the bishop on c4 and castling on the king side. So after knight f d2, black plays knight c6, good developing move, then white castles. So after castles, then comes the idea. Black plays bishop d7, developing the queen side. Now white plays c3. This is the idea. White sacrifices a pawn here, and white generates a huge attack for this pawn. See, now you can see the entire king side, the position is, the king is still in the center. So white is really targeting on that king. So black takes the pawn takes pawn, and he plays queen to a5. Now if not queen a5, if you go queen to e7, okay, then the queen is blocking the path of these pieces, so it's not a good move. So queen a5 is good. If not queen a5, the other move is to just go queen b6, but then again white wins the tempo with rook b1, and he gets his own good position. So after b takes c3, queen a5, now white plays rook b1. So this move attacks the pawn on b7. This is a winning tempo. This reminds me of the game Vishy Anand played against John Timman. So rook b1. So here this tempo is very, very important. So he plays queen to c7. Then white plays rook e1. So now you see for the pawn, just for one pawn, white gets a very strong central play on the king, and also you can see the knight is really blocking the, is not allowing the development of that knight. If you develop the black's knight to f6, then you have to compromise because the position gets doubled pawn. So black plays rook c8. So this is the position. So now after rook c8, maybe in this position instead of rook c8, I feel that black should play knight e5. Attack this bishop, and when the bishop goes to f1, then you should castle here, long castle, and this position can be tried in the tournaments. So if you play knight e5, this is a novelty in the tournament. But anyway, after rook e1, black plays rook c8. Now white advantageously develops the queen to h5 square. Massive attack on the king side, black's king side. So black is in trouble now because you see his bishop and knight are still not yet developed. So now if you play knight f6 here, of course I just take the knight f6 and pawn takes f6, and I have bishop takes e6, and already the position is in ruins for black. So he can't develop the knight. So here in this position, after queen h5, black tries to defend with knight e5. So this is the moment, friend. So in these kind of positions, especially in a blitz game is normally it is 5 minutes or something like that, or 3 minutes sometimes bullet tournaments are also there 1 minute, but usually I believe this is a 5-minute game. So here finding this move over the board or calculating this move over the board is not easy. These all must be home preparation for Jeffrey Xiong. Of course black is also a very, very strong grandmaster. He himself is a wonderful player, so he may be knowing this idea also. So here white comes with a beautiful sacrifice. Bishop takes e6. So this is very difficult to play on the board. You can see this is a complete bishop is just given for one pawn. Already white is one pawn down. So after bishop e6, you can't take, of course, bishop e6. So he plays bishop takes e6. Now white plays knight g5. Now you can see there is X-ray attack on the king. So many pieces are attacking by the rook on the file. So and the king is pinned, the pieces are pinned, the king is there in e8 square, dangerously in the position. So now he has to defend the king side. Now you can see the bishop, the knight, they're all in the still in sleep mode, so they are not coming. So of course now the threat is knight takes e6, and black cannot take because queen is pinning the king here. And when you take knight takes e6, not only the knight attacks the queen, also the queen attacks the knight on e5 square. So black is losing a piece here. So black plays with bishop takes a2. Now white comes with another powerful move, rook b5. Now attacking the knight here. You can see the knight on e5 is protected only by the queen, and also this rook is already pinning the knight here. So black can now play two moves. Both are difficult to support the position. Maybe you could have played bishop c5 also, but there also there is some problem. So here black played first bishop d6. Now I'd like to show what happens if you play bishop to c5. So you see, after bishop c5, white can play one cool move, c4. This is the move. So this cuts the bishop's support to the f7 square, and this is not allowing. You can see the spin is already there. You can't take this bishop also. And now white is simply threatening rook takes knight check, and after queen takes knight, queen takes f7 check, but that attack is coming. So let us see really whether it is really working. So after knight f6, you can just sacrifice another rook. The rook, full rook. So it takes this one. Now you can see only three pieces are there. One white is one full rook down. Now he plays queen takes f7 check, king 88. Now the hasty knight e6 check will lose to queen takes e6, queen takes e6, and rook e8 is coming. So then there is some sort of a problem for white. But white can now come out with a wonderful move. After king d8, white can first play knight df3, and now you can see the queen on e5 is again attacked, and the queen mate is also supported by white here, so there is no checkmate on e1 square. Now knight e6 check will win the queen, and soon the game. So in this position, after bishop takes e6, we have this position, bishop e6, knight g5 we saw, bishop takes a2, rook b5 we saw. Now black played bishop to d6 supporting the knight. Now after bishop d6, Jeffrey could have played knight d e4 also, but he plays knight e4. So now this is essentially removing the support for this knight, and it is attacking the knight on bishop on d6 also. Knight takes d6 check is threatened and winning the piece on e5 square. So black plays knight f6. Now after knight f6, white simply takes knight e6 check, queen takes d6. You can see the combined attack of the rooks. Both rooks are now in the file. So rook b1 and b5 rook also joins the attack. So rook b e5 check. So king f8. Of course, king d8 is dangerous. So it goes king f8. Now in the game, Jeffrey played queen f3. But here also there is a powerful way to continue the attack. Queen f5. So this may be a more accurate move, because now you can see this queen is attacking the rook on c8 square, and if you play bishop to e6, now again fireworks are coming. Rook takes e6, and after pawn takes e6, you can again take this pawn, rook takes e6. Now you see rook takes f6 check is coming, so he has to play queen to d8. Then white can play queen bishop a3 check. So after bishop a3 check, you see the bishop is introduced to the attack on the f8 square. So he has to go king f7. If you go king g8, rook e7 is coming. So after king e7, king f7, white can play rook d6. Now after queen e8, now you can find the move. After queen e8, now white can continue with knight e4, deadly attack, and now the game is over. He can't take queen takes e4 because of rook takes f6 check. And after pawn takes f6, you can just take queen takes e4. And now there is no checkmate because queen can give a check and escape the position. So this is a beautiful finish here. So maybe queen f8 could have been maybe possible. So instead of king f8, after queen f3, in the game white played queen f3, black played bishop to d5. Now white regrouped his pieces. He plays queen to d3, and after queen c6, now bishop a3 check comes, king g8. Now bishop e7. Again you see the power of white's pieces. When you centralize your pieces in the position, and especially the rook tucked in inside the board, it is very difficult for black to survive this attack. And after bishop e7, black plays bishop e6, Now white plays queen g3. Now the threat of bishop f6 is deadly, so he is threatening to checkmate on g7 square. And after knight d7, white comes with another powerful attacking move, knight e4. Now funny thing is, if you take knight takes e5, then knight f6 is a checkmate. It's a smoother checkmate. Rarely you get this kind of positions on the board. And after knight e4, black plays h5. Now you can see see this position. Still this rook is not cannot be taken on a e5 square. So white plays, because this knight is unable to function, white plays simple move rook c5. Wonderful move again. Now this knight cannot take the rook because of knight f6 checkmate. Not possible. So he plays after rook c5. He plays and he cannot move the queen to a6 or somewhere because rook on c8 is hanging. And the only move in this position is after rook c5. Black has to give up his queen. So after queen c5, white plays bishop takes c5. And you see this position. White has two minor pieces. You can see bishop versus bishop, knight for knight, and rook for rook. And this position is already only one rook is there for the queen. So white is definitely winning. But finish is really beautiful here. So after h4, he plays queen g5, rook h6, bishop d4 mate threat, and he plays rook g6. Xiang tries to convert this position fast. So here he plays queen takes pawn, and after a5, he plays knight d6 rook attack, rook a8, and queen e4, threatening queen takes b7, and black plays bishop h3. So this is seems to be having some sort of a counterplay, but now there are many winning moves. You can take knight takes f7, queen e7, whatever it is. But Xiang concludes this is how you have to win the games also. This is a good lesson for the beginners. So here, when you are in a winning position, you must simply trade the pieces to your advantage. So here he simply plays queen takes g6, and after pawn takes g6, pawn takes h3, and white has a piece up, and the game is getting over. There is only one passed pawn on the queen side, but this passed pawn is not sufficient to promote because bishop can support this pawn, and that's what happened in the game. a4, rook e7 goes to 7th rank. The knight comes to f6, and white takes another pawn. After a3, he pushes his passed pawn to c4, knight h5, pawn to c5, and pawn a2, bishop e1. Now the game is gone. There's a white is simple piece up, and this knight on h5 is tied to the support of this pawn on g7, and after knight f4, of course if you don't, black has really no move to play in this position, so he just tried knight f4, then he played rook takes g7 check, and black resigned. So what we see in this game is a beautiful way of conducting the game, tactical ability of the grandmasters, very fast calculations, and at the same time powerful theoretical background they have. So we wish you enjoyed your game, and this game, this variation, and the analysis pertaining to these games developments, recent developments, all I have given in the website, our website cyberchess.org. You can just download this file. Last week, in the last episode also, in the last video, I have given one PDF file to people containing, consisting of nearly 100 games, and many people have downloaded. And I feel that this time also you will be able to download. To make the things easier, we are giving this download facility on the front page itself of the website. You can check on the right side corner, you will be able to get the download thing. And visit cyberchess.org. And this video is coming from Lanka Ravi, international chess master, senior FIDE trainer, and trainer of many top class players in the country. Thank you so much.